Hey everyone, and welcome to your Infringement Friday. This is a segment where we talk about maybe some of the more nuanced infringements of the laws of the game, and we kind of discuss through where we see them at the lower levels and what do we do about them. And so today I want to talk about offside, specifically subjective offside, because I don't think we see it too often at the lower level, because I think it's often difficult to recognize. And there's a number of reasons why I think that's the case, but we see it called relatively consistently in the professional game. And it's one of those things that, why is it missing from lower level? And why is it that we find it difficult to look at it, to see it, to recognize it in order to get ourselves better and move forward. Now, most of us here in USSF aren't allowed to use communication devices, so that's going to be one critical thing. At least above or below a regional level referee, our USSF matches are not to use communication devices. And I think that's just for the sake of consistency and access, so that we can't, that necessarily that one maybe more affluent area of club teams don't get different officiating in comparison to others that maybe aren't in such an affluent position. Either way, I would love it if USSF could allow us to, but in the meantime, what are some of the tools that we can use in order to successfully navigate these subjective offside decisions? Let's have a look at one professional clip here from the Brazilian League. And I want to hear and kind of let's talk through things so that we can kind of understand where the decision is coming from and if the decision even needs to get made. Let's have a look. So this is going to be off of a corner kick. It pings around a little bit, and then you're going to see it's very subtle, at least from this broadcast angle, but you're going to see that there's one player standing in an offside position, and there's I certainly have questions about involvement in play, right? So actually, first, before we jump into the clip, why don't we go, I think I need to move my face out of the way here. Let's go to the law. So real quick, what does the law say about offside, and specifically 11.2 offside offenses, right? Player in an offside position at the moment the ball is played or touched by a teammate is only penalized when on becoming involved in active play, right? Now, majority of the time, this is exactly how we think about it. It is this first bullet point, interfering with play by playing or touching the ball, passed or touched by a teammate, right? That's majority of the time. They're in an offside position, they're a step or two off, and then suddenly, their teammate passes the ball and they have it, right? Interfering with an opponent by preventing an opponent. Now this is where the subjective offside, right, comes in. Interfering with an opponent by preventing an opponent from playing or being able to play the ball by clearly obstructing the opponent's line of vision. Typically, this is in the keeper. This is in reference to the goalkeeper. It's considered in reference to the goalkeeper, but that's not to say that you can't. That can't be a defender or something like that. You don't know. Challenging an opponent for the ball, so they come back from an offside position and they're challenging for they're making a challenge for the ball. That's an offside offense. And then clearly attempting to play a ball which is close when this action impacts on an opponent, or so that could be, hey, he goes for the ball, misses it, or something of that nature, and then another player who's onside comes onto the ball or something like that, and that action must impact the opponent. And then making an obvious action which clearly impacts on the ability of an opponent to play the ball. So those are all the subjective offside pieces. And then this one is more this sort of deflection rule, where if they're standing in the offside position at the time of a shot and it then deflects off the crossbar, the post, etc., or it's rebounded off the goalkeeper himself, you're able to go through, that it is also an offense here. So rebounded or deflected off the goalpost, crossbar, match official, I forgot about that one, or an opponent, right? So if it's you take the shot, it hits the shoulder of an opponent, dinks up, comes back down to a player in an offside position at the time of the shot. That is an offside offense. Deliberately saved, that's by a goalkeeper, right? And then obviously the offside position is null and void if it's a deliberate playback by the defending team. So that's what the laws say. Let's have a look at what happens here. Now, this is a long clip, so I'm just going to play the ultimate part, or the sort of the sequence. It kind of replays more than a few times, so I'm going to let it go here.
Jogo. Defesa. Ataque. Ataque.
Possível offside, decisão gol.
O jogador tinha um jogador em posição ali, tá? E ele
só vê a decisão de campo.
Ainda tá conversando, olha lá, pode ver lá.
Ou não? Tem interferência. Tem. O companheiro dele interfere na ação do defensor. Que depois ele veio de trás.
Segue.
E o de trás tava legal, chegou e fez o gol. Ok? O outro interfere. O outro tava em posição e cortou a frente ali.
So here, this is where this player is obviously still inside or right on the goal area line. His foot is hanging into the goal area. We see the foot of the rearmost defender is essentially all outside of the goal area. So we certainly have this player in an offside position, and this is honestly the best frame that I could probably get right there, where he's about to flick it on. And then now it's what happens next that I think is crucial, because you see this player ultimately right here is the one who's going to play the ball and put it into the net. But is this player making an obvious action that's going to prevent any of these defenders from going through and touching or playing or successfully defending this ball? Right? So it looks like he's about to play it. He's about to play it. You see the defenders looking at him, seeing his leg about to bend to bring that ball down. Both players are looking at the ball here. And then suddenly he pulls back.
Eu quero ver essa posição ele tem, tá? Deixa eu ver se ele toca.
Pode matar no impedimento que ele interfere.
A dois.
Segura, tô checando.
Bem no bico da área ali.
Tem que
Tô
ter,
checando a possível interferência. Pera.
Não participa. O que foi?
Olha,
sim.
ele faz o movimento para dominar, não domina, e o defensor espera ainda a ação dele, tá?
Now, admittedly, we're listening to the VAR audio of this, so I don't understand Portuguese. So I need to, if someone in the community does, I would love to know what the VAR officials are saying here, because yeah, that's a tough one. But
O defensor espera a ação dele. Só depois o defensor reage. Volta pela 7-30.
Não toca no joelho aqui nessa queda.
Acho que toca no jogador.
Vê no
também,
joelho aqui se toca. Vê se toca no
so he's in the offside position.
joelho.
Makes that
Olha
clear
aí.
move, like he's gonna trap it, and then does it put the defenders off by a step? They seem to continue moving, but does it do it? That's the question. Ultimately, the VAR and the referee, after an extensive review, actually a weird review where both officials went to the VAR monitor. The fourth official, I believe, and the referee himself were standing looking at the monitor, and I've never seen that before. But I suppose there's nothing in the laws that I've seen in the VAR protocol that prohibits it. But that being said, both of them were standing there after an extensive delay, and this goal was called off for that player interfering in play and becoming an offside offense. Now, the subjectivity of the player interfering is, I think, a clear moment where there's going to be some friction. And then there's also this other aspect of, you have two people on the referee crew that have different pieces of information that's going to, but both are needed in order to see if that player has done what they think, right? So as an AR, we want to keep our flag down unless we are 100% sure that an offside offense has occurred. But with subjective offside, the certainty of the offense happens with the referee's assertion that the player has become involved in play. So in this specific instance, this referee and this AR have the communication devices, and they're able to look at this. And you heard immediately when the ball was played in, we have potential offside. That part it was English, and I did understand it. That being said, when you're looking at this from a lower level perspective, and you don't have that communication device, and your AR might not be as developed or skillful in recognizing that the player who was in the offside position has come in, right, and become involved in play, and then the referee then has the decision to make, or that information, right? So you're dealing with the AR having the offside position, you're having the referee who's determining the player's involvement. Sometimes it's obvious from the AR's perspective, most times it's not. And that's, I think, the critical reason why lower level referees don't typically get this level of infringement correct, or at least recognized, right? So how do we fix that? How do we fix what we can do, right? I think this is where, for the AR, we don't want a fast flag, especially in a goal situation. We want to let the play come to a natural conclusion and then give that signal. The only time there's going to be sort of a faster flag for me, or what I recommend, is when there's a goalkeeper striker kind of coming at each other kind of interaction. And if the AR is certain that that player was in an offside position and that there's a high potential risk for the goalkeeper and the attacker to come into contact for what is essentially going to be a nothing kind of play, then we obviously need to have that flag much faster so we can stop play much faster, so we prevent that situation from happening. That's my recommendation. When it comes to this kind of scenario where the ball's pinging around inside the 18, let it come to a natural conclusion, and then what I'm going to do, if I'm the AR, is I'm going to step back off the line, I'm going to raise my flag, and then referee's going to blow his whistle, see my flag up, and I'm going to signal for him to come. I'm going to have a short conference. Hey, I saw X player in an offside position in the build-up to the goal. Was he involved in play? Did you see what I saw? At that point, it's now on the referee to be able to say, hey, yeah, I saw it, I wasn't sure, letting play go. And then you have the other opportunity to say, the referee has the opportunity to say, no, I saw it, I don't think he was involved in play, we're going to let this goal go, right? The worst thing that you can do, in my opinion, is have the flag too early, stop the play, and now you've taken a goal out of the net for something that may or may not have been an offside offense. So I want to know what you guys think about this kind of thing, what you guys think in terms of handling it at a lower level, and how do we get better at recognizing and communicating between our teammates, of the referee crew, I should say, in order to get better at recognizing this in those situations, right? Is what I described a good process, because it's worked well for me, right? This wait and see kind of moment, especially from the AR with a slower flag. But it all depends on the level of the game. It all depends on the level of the officials, to be fair, but then also to look at just holistically if we're recognizing this as an infringement in the game. This is a difficult one, especially for lower level referees, for everything I described. So I want to know what you guys think. In the meantime, I look forward to seeing you guys for Motivation Monday. For everyone who's celebrating the Easter holiday, I wish you guys a happy Easter. I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a good one.